Bismillah. Inshallah, we start in 30 seconds. Inshallah. Bismillah. Let's start, inshallah. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على أفضل المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه الطيبين الطاهرين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. وبعد, this is the last day of Ramadan, maybe the last lecture in that series, the tribulation, calamities, afflictions, 17 benefits from the book of Al-Izz ibn Abd salam. And today we'll keep it short, inshallah. It's the last day of Ramadan, and therefore I'm going to choose something that perhaps is suitable for the day. So let's start, inshallah. Bismillah, as we always do, we start by the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, and wassalatu wassalamu ala afdalil mursalin sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin. قال الشيخ الإمام حجة الإسلام معتمد الأنام أبو محمد عبد العزيز بن عبد السلام بن أبي القاسم السلمي الشافعي نفع الله به المسلمين وغفر لنا وله ولجميع المؤمنين. And today we're going to take the benefit number 9, inshallah. So the Shaykh says the following: in calamities and afflictions, one of the things that Allah wants us to experience, one of the things that are actually a gem, a benefit of calamities and afflictions, is what the Shaykh is going to be speaking about. And subhanallah, I think it's very relevant for today. He says the following, and it might be shocking when you hear it. So in calamities and afflictions, in hardship, in difficult times, what does Allah want us to experience? What does He want to give? Notice what He says. الفرح بها لأجل فوائدها قال عليه الصلاة والسلام والذي نفسي بيده إن كانوا لا يفرحون بالبلاء كما تفرحون بالرخاء. وقال ابن مسعود رضي الله تعالى عنه حبذا المكروهان الموت والفقر وإنما فرحوا بها إذ لا وقع لشدتها ومرارتها بالنسبة إلى ثمرتها وفائدتها كما يفرح من عظمت أدواؤه بشرب الأدوية الحاسمة لها مع تجرعه لمرارتها. Now let's explain, inshallah. So he says the following: what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala really wants to give in afflictions and calamities, one of the things, and notice it's very important to put that in perspective. When we read those benefits, it is not that everybody will get those benefits. Remember what he said in the beginning of the book. Different people will have different states, will experience different things. So this is something that some people experience, benefit for some people, and it's really amazing. It says al-farahu biha, to be happy about it, to feel happiness, to feel joy, to feel happiness. How come in afflictions and calamities and difficulties, what Allah wants? Yes, al-farahu biha, that for some, they rejoice, they feel happy within the night and the darkness of affliction. Why? And he starts to explain. So I'm going to translate and then we reflect. لِأَجْلِ فَوَائِدِهَا, because for those people, their eyesight they're not short-sighted. They're not looking at what's happening in the test now. They're looking at the outcome of it, at, if you will, the benefits that's going to result from it. Their eyesight is not fixed on what is happening now, on how difficult it is. The benefits that lies within it later. When they see that, they're happy about it. And then he starts quoting some ahadith, and we'll reflect on this. What does it mean? قال عليه الصلاة والسلام, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, speaking to the companions about earlier people, والذي نفسي بيده إن كانوا لا يفرحون بالبلاء كما تفرحون بالرخاء. There were people before you, and indeed they used to be happy. They used to rejoice, feel elated with calamities and affliction, like you, and he's speaking to the companions, are happy with what? With raha, with ease, with wellness, with abundance. So there were some people that for them, their happiness was not with ease or hardship. It was independent. They weren't happy when given only. Ibn Ata'illah السكندري says regarding this: متى بسطك العطاء وقبضك المنع فاستدل بذلك على طفوليتك وعدم صدقك في عبوديتك. He says, whenever you find yourself gifts, and when Allah's giving you, and there is plenty, and state of affluency, and things are good, and you have the state of bust, you're elated, you're expanded, and whenever deprived, hardship, difficulty, unwanted things happen, you get constricted. This is an inside feeling. That's a proof of your childish nature of worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Subhanallah, what does that mean? In the path of worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like humans develop, we develop too. I'm born as a baby. I have certain, developmental things. Something bad happens, I throw a tantrum, I cry. It's babies, and then kids, they whine, and then you become a teenager. There is, stages you develop through. Spiritually, some people never left that stage spiritually. It's all about what my share. If I get what I want, I'm happy. If I don't get what I want, I'm not happy. It's about me and what I want. Now, Ibn Ata'illah Secondary says this is a sign of not being really mature spiritually and a lack of truthfulness. Why? Let's explain why. I'll just go here quickly. What are we happy about in a calamity and affliction? Let's take a student, someone, like a good student who studied hard, went to the teacher, asked him about, different things. I still remember when I was a student in engineering long time ago, undergraduate, we had this topic called electromagnetics. Very difficult class, very mathematical in nature. I used to go ask the professor, read so many books about it, read a lot of math to be able to solve the problems. Now, when the exam came, and the exam was really difficult, I remember, long and difficult, people were crying. And you know what my state was? I was so happy with the exam questions. Oh, look at that question is difficult, but you know what? I learned how to answer it properly. And I'm happy seeing myself answering a difficult question. So what made me happy? It's not the question, it's my ability to answer it. When I see a difficult question coming, and I have, alhamdulillah, been begging and now I'm answering well, I find myself happy with that. The question revealed my readiness. The question will give me a chance to show this professor who taught me, who spent time with me, how good of a student I am, how I understood well from him. Look, sir, look how I'm going to answer that problem. Look what I know. And as you're answering, you're happy with the test, but the test is difficult. How can you be happy with the test? Because I'm performing in the test. And that's what, so for those people, when afflictions do happen, and they find difficulty coming in their life, right? What happens? They find themselves having the tools by which they can answer properly. They find themselves able to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the key. Their happiness, because they don't see the test, they see Allah's help to them in the test. I've been tested, but I'm given the ability to stand and do the right things. I am therefore elated. I might be in physical pain, but seeing myself doing what pleases Allah, that's what brings happiness to my heart. That is what's going on right here. And then he explains that. And he says, وإنما فرحوا بها إذ لا وقع لشدتها ومرارتها بالنسبة إلى ثمرتها وفائدتها. They are really happy with it because the difficulty and the pain of it does not measure to the fruits and the benefits that lies within it. They can see the benefits. They know what it's about. They see themselves answering. They see Allah's help. And when they measure both, they're very happy with that. That Allah gave them the ability to answer a difficult question. So they feel happy about it. This is for a specific group of people. Now, here is quickly, like in the remaining few minutes, what is the homework in this? What does it mean? So what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to give in difficulties and afflictions in this situation is what? The ability to experience happiness. The ability, do I have to wait? Let me put it this way, again, the same way we're saying. If I'm not happy with Allah in the times of ease, how can you even imagine me to fathom being happy with Allah in the times of difficulties. So what is the homework? If I want to be among those people, may Allah make us all among them. Not only when calamities happen, they transcend it, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helps them, and they see themselves performing, and they're happy with the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then let me be among those people who are happy with the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the time of ease. Bring me now to the point that we're discussing. Happiness. Happiness is not about having what I want. This is not the way a Muslim thinks. When do Muslims happy? Allah subhanahu wa be happy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us this in the Quran. قُلْ بِفَضْلِ اللَّهِ وَبِرَحْمَتِهِ فَبِذَلِكَ فَلْيَفْرَحُوا هُوَ خَيْرٌ مِمَّا يَجْمَعُونَ. Say, with the favors of Allah and His bounties, with the Quran, with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, with the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the dhikr, with that, let them be happy. Let them rejoice. It is better than everything else they're collecting. Allah wants us to be happy. So what does that mean? Happiness is not about I am happy. What made me happy is the question. It's not how can I be happy. This is not my question in life. How can I be happy? I want to be happy. No. You know what I want? I want what makes me happy to be congruent with what makes Allah happy. The example I give so often to people, you want your loved ones to be happy, right? Would you like that your son is happy smoking, addicted, partying? Is that what you want? Will you be happy? He's happy, he's jumping up and down. I will be miserable. But your son is happy, but I'm miserable because he's happy with the wrong thing. Some people are happy with wrong love. They love the wrong person. Are you happy loving a specific person with terrible characteristics? And I don't think it will lead to ultimate happiness. But true happiness is what? When I find that the thing that makes me happy is a beautiful thing that makes Allah happy. Is it equal? One who's happy partying, going out with, drinking and smoking, and another person who tells you, Akhi, you know how I'm happy? I go back home, Allahu Akbar, and I recite, and I hear a lecture, and I learn ilm, and my heart expands, and I'm so happy with it. Somebody else, Ya Akhi, I read Quran, I hear Quran, my heart is, I'm happy reciting, I'm happy in dhikr, I'm happy in prayers, I'm happier giving than receiving. That person would say, not only I'm happy, and I'm happy that I'm happy this way. I'm happy that those things are the things that make me happy. And furthermore, I am so happy that my happiness is in what makes Allah happy. So, in the time of ease, can we train ourselves to be that way? See, there is a major premise that is wrong. We assume that what makes us happy is constant, meaning what? I'm happy listening to music. Let's say a person is that way. He assumes the only way for me to be happy is to satisfy this desire. It will not change. What if I tell you, wait a minute, when I was younger, I didn't like to hear Quran, I liked to hear music. Let's say a person is that way. What if I tell you, if you obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you surrender, if you go in Allah's way, you know what Allah does? He changes the thing that makes us happy. So all of a sudden, the thing that Allah doesn't like, all of a sudden, Yahi, how did I feel happy listening to this junk words? The song is terrible. What they're saying is terrible. It's like noisy. It is, I can't believe I love that. And now, oh, look at that Quran. The one that I didn't, look at that Sheikh, the one that I used to make fun of back in the day when I was spiritually immature. I love him, and I love the Quran, and I used to not like dhikr. Now I love dhikr. What happened? Allah changes what makes us happy. So if we surrender to Allah in the time of ease, rest assured, in the beginning it's difficult. I might not be happy, but He changes me. And then I'll find happiness in the things that makes Him happy. When I am like that in the time of ease, when I'm trained that my happiness is in the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when calamities and afflictions happen, maybe I will be among the people that my focus is not on what's happening to me. If I'm obeying Allah in it, I would get the same sense of joy and delight. And that's the reward of that. So just a quick reflection and the summary of this. There are reasons in life to be happy and celebrate. When do Muslims celebrate? We celebrate, we have two Eids in Islam. Did you notice something? Why are we celebrating Eid? Eid is always after a major act of obedience. We have one after Ramadan, Eid al-Fitr, and one after Hajj, Eid al-Adha. Did you notice something? Eid is always after a major obedience, a major ta'ah. You know why we're celebrating after Ramadan? It's not because Ramadan is over, as many non-Muslims think. Oh, we're done, we're no more fasting. We're sad because there is no more fasting. So why are you celebrating? Because Allah enabled me to fast 30 days for Him. I was able to pray tahajjud, I was able to pray qiyam, I was able to recite Quran, I was able to obey Allah in a major way. When I see that Allah enabled me to do that, I am happy. And therefore Ibn Ata'illah secondary, again, paving the way for us. He says, لا تفرح بالطاعة لأنها برزت منك ولكن افرح بها لأنها برزت من الله إليك. Don't be happy. Now, he's speaking about a higher level. What makes me happy? It's not the happiness of a cow, a happiness of a beast eating and drinking. It's not the happiness of a predator destroying the competition, being on top, taking more territory. That's happiness of wolves, and it's the happiness of angels, the happiness of the righteous. Is the happiness with Allah's happiness, is the happiness of obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he says, at that level, for those people, when you see yourself obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, don't rejoice because you obeyed Allah. Rejoice with that He gave you the ability to obey Him. With that, let them rejoice. What does it mean when I find that Allah enabled me to fast Ramadan? What do you think that means? It means He wants to give me. When Allah opens the door for me and I stand and I make dua for 1 hour, what does it mean? إذا فتح لك الباب في الدعاء فاعلم أنه أراد أن يعطيك, as we said before. When I find that the doors of dua has been opened, it means He wants to give me. I'm not happy just because I'm making dua, which is beautiful. I'm obeying Allah, but He made me do that. What does that mean? I'm happy with Him. So He wants me, He loves me. That's what makes me happy. Subhanallah. So our religion can be actually, if you will, what is the intent? What's the intent of religion? Why worship Allah? So we often say the verse وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. It's a lot deeper than that. So it's the following way. Here is what Allah wants. At the end of the day, Allah wants us to know Him. Remember how we started? Knowledge of Allah. We were created to know and experience Allah. What will that lead to? If you know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is impossible not to love Him. It's impossible. Anybody who knows Allah, your heart will just break. You will yearn for Him. You will long for Him. You will fly for Him. Right? And that's longing for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it is ma'rifah, experiential knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, its fruit, it will definitely lead to love. That type of love leads to what? Obedience. When you love someone so much, I know him. You remember love maps? I know what makes Allah happy. I know Allah in a way that my heart, the way He treats me, I can't help but love Him. And my love for Him made me a abd for Him. I'm a servant of Him. I can't, I'm enslaved by it. I'm enslaved by the love of the divine. So, ma'rifah, I can say that leads to ubudiyyah. Ma'rifah, knowledge, leads to love, that leads to servitude, ibadah. This is the heart of ibadah. And this type of ibadah, I become as the servant of the All-Merciful, the servant of Allah, Abdullah, nothing else. Freedom. I'm free from anything but Allah. And that gives me sa'adah, happiness. True happiness. The happiness we were created to taste. I'll still eat and drink, but I'm happy with the one that gave me the food in the first place. And I'm happy to drink after I fast and eat after I fast. And I'm happy that I can eat and say Alhamdulillah. And I'm happy seeing what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me to eat. I'm happy with the food and the one gave me the food. And I'm happy with Allah and that I'm making dhikr while I'm eating. And I'm thanking Allah after I'm eating. Ya Rabbi, lak alhamd. Lak alhamd. Lak alhamd that I can say Alhamdulillah. And you start. That is a beautiful way of living. When those people live this way and their happiness is really in the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, guess what happens when afflictions happen? when afflictions happen, if they find that I'm still obeying Allah, and it's Allah that enables me to do that, I rejoice because I am doing something unique. I'm doing something amazing. Allah enabled me in the midst of calamities and affliction to still worship Him, to still answer the test correctly. Allah supplying me with the necessary provision for that. I am happy. I'm happy with everything that Allah does. And this is a high station that I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to enable us to taste. So Muslims will always happy after obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It doesn't start this way. Please remember that. In the beginning, it is bitter. But the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, وَمَنْ أَسْلَمَ فَأُولَٰئِكَ تَحَرَّوْا رَشَدًا. Whoever submits and surrenders, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are seeking rushd. Rushd is what? It's not just guidance. It's the ability to see right as right and enjoy it. And the ability to see bad as bad and hate it. So Allah saying in the beginning, I might like something, I might love something, something makes me happy, but it's not the right thing. People are happy smoking. People are happy drinking. People are happy lying. People are happy stealing. People are happy sometimes, and you look at it, I know you're happy, but that's a sick form of happiness. If I say, Ya Rabbi, you said drinking is haram, I don't get it, I like it, astaghfirullah. I don't want to stop it, but you know what? I'll surrender, I'll submit. If you said it's haram, and it's so difficult, and I'm in pain, and and it's hard, I have to put down the cigarettes, but I'm doing it for the sake of Allah. You said Quran is good. I'm not enjoying reciting, but I'm going to recite anyway. Truthfulness. Does it please you, Ya Rab? Yes, I'm doing it. In the beginning, it's difficult, but the promise of Allah, those who surrender, submit that way to Allah, Allah grants them rushd. He changes what makes them happy. And that's a sign of the qabul of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you've been accepted. When all of a sudden I find that smoking is hated, I hate it, I hate the way it smells, I can't take it, I don't know ever how I was like this one time before. And then I look to the Quran and dhikr and I tell myself, how on earth wasn't I doing this? Subhanallah wa bihamdi, this dhikr is so sweet. I was such a fool. How could I not have tasted that? I've changed. Allah changed. And then eventually I find that what makes me happy are the very things that make Allah happy. And when that is the case, I am congruent with Allah. And that's when we say, when we say the purpose of the human creation is ubudiyya, how do you know that we fulfilled ubudiyya? لما يوافق مقصد العبد مقصد المعبود. When everything I intend and want and motivate my inner burst is congruent with what makes Allah happy, with what Allah intends, and what. If that's the case, ubudiyya has been fulfilled, and I'm the happiest human being on earth. I see a poor person. My desire is, I want to help him. I want to be in his aid. And when I do it, I'm happy. That's what Allah wants. That's good. If I do something wrong, I want to astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. I want to make repentance. I want to make amendments. I want to change. I wronged someone. That's what Allah wants. See? So my bursts become congruent with what Allah wants. And at the end of the day, let's finish with this. What does Allah want? Allah wants us to be happy. How? Wallahu yuridu an yatuba alaykum. Allah wants you back. Allah wants tawbah for you. Allah, remember what we said? The All Merciful wants me back. Why? Because He wants to give me true happiness with Him. Happiness that is everlasting. So what did we learn today? We learned that afflictions and calamities for a specific group of people. The group that surrendered to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The group that had the self-transcendence. It's all for them about the pleasure of Allah and trying to make Allah happy. The reward of this, Allah changes their happiness. Their happiness becomes what makes Allah happy. And this group, subhanAllah, in times of afflictions from Allah, sometimes with the will of Allah, one of the things that He might give, not to everybody, but one of the things that I ask Allah, we're all given, He gives them an insight. They see the fruits of the affliction. They see the provision of Allah. They see themselves obeying. And that makes them so delighted. And for those group of people, they don't feel the spiritual pain, let's put it this way, of afflictions and calamities. Even if their body feels the pain, their heart, they don't feel it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raise us all in this blessed month to be among those people. And therefore, very good way to end. Tomorrow is Eid. What is the sunnah in Eid? The sunnah in Eid is to be happy. To be happy that we finished fasting this month. May you have a happy Eid. May your family have a happy Eid. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make my happiness and your happiness in His obedience. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make my happiness and your happiness in His pleasure. And more, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us His happiness and contentment. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. جزاكم الله خير and Eid Mubarak for all of you.